A story that's happening on our watch as well. Dozens of DA supporters are currently picketing outside Parliament in support of the motion, the party's motion of no confidence in cabinet. The DA leader, John Steenhuisen, is addressing party supporters. Let's listen in.
I've seen better cabinets at Bradlow's than the one we've got sitting in this cabinet here. Ons het verandering nodig in ons land. Ons kan nie so aangaan met hierdie rampokkers wat sit rondom die kabinettafel en swak besluite maak vir die mense van Suid-Afrika. We can see every single metric: unemployment, hunger, child malnutrition, lack of investment. Every single one can be traced back to a minister that doesn't care, is too corrupt, doesn't worry, and has long ago given up caring about the people of South Africa. This is a cabinet of poverty, and we call it the poverty cabinet because this cabinet has brought poverty into every home in South Africa. That's the only thing they're good at delivering, is poverty. It's the only thing they can deliver, poverty. It's the only thing that they're capable of making is poverty. And so, do we have confidence in this cabinet? No. How can you have confidence in a cabinet that when 7,500 children under the age of 5 are dying of chronic malnutrition every year, what are they doing? They're busy picking out BMWs, Mercedes and Volvos. Hoe kan dit wees? Waar is die regverdigheid in dit? How can we have confidence when the unemployment queues have grown so long now that almost half of the people of South Africa do not have a job? How can we have confidence when this woman here, who's in charge of social development, doesn't look after the people? She sprays them with a water cannon outside the SASA offices. How can we have confidence when our trains are broken because Mr. Fix-It is actually Mr. Fix you know what all? How can we have confidence when our streets and our homes and our children and our elderly people are not safe because Mr. Beki Tele long ago gave up trying to fight crime? Hy is te besig om te veg met die commissioners. Hy gee nie om vir die oorlog teen misdaad. Hy gee om vir die oorlog binne die ANC. En dis die feite. How are we going to have confidence when our biggest export to Russia is David Mabuza? How are we going to have confidence when Lindiwe Sisulu is too busy trying to tear up our constitution instead of bringing tourists into South Africa? How can we have confidence when the Minister of Education gives our children such rubbish education that the majority of them drop out before they even reach matric? It's time for the minister to drop out, not our children. She must drop out. How can we have confidence? How can we have confidence when our higher education system, our NSFAS system, is in absolute tatters, leaving our children's future to a future of being on their knees, waiting for a government to deliver? And the reality is, they don't care. And let me tell you why they don't care. They don't care about crime, because if you look behind me, you'll see these black BMWs that follow them everywhere. They don't need to worry about crime because they've got the SABC VIP protection unit that's looking after them. They don't need to worry about the petrol price going up because you are paying for their petrol. You don't see a minister putting gas in the vehicle, it's always the VIP protection officer doing it. They don't care about housing because this government gives them 2 houses, one in Pretoria, one in Cape Town. And they're not small houses, not RDP houses, they're big houses. Big houses for big crooks. They don't care about whether their communities are safe or not, because they're living in all these fancy suburbs, far away from the people whose interests they're supposed to represent. They don't care about you having to wait a full day in a queue in the blazing sun to get a birth certificate for your child or an identity document so that you can get your SASSA grant or that you can access education. They're happy to watch you queue here in Barrack Street all day long. They don't care because their passports and that are delivered to their offices up in Pretoria. And that's why they don't care. Because they don't live in the real South Africa that you and I live in. They live in Ministerland. And in Ministerland, you don't have to worry about anything. And that's why you don't see them moving in communities unless they're surrounded by tens of bodyguards. Wat is hulle bang vir? Is hulle bang vir die mense? Hoe kan dit wees? Dis die mense wat vir jou gestem het. Hoe kan jy bang vir hierdie mense wees? Dis onaanvaarbaar. Dis onaanvaarbaar. But I want to say to you that there are thousands and thousands of South Africans that have signed the petition, that are standing with you here today, that says the cabinet must go. There are thousands and thousands of people watching us live on television, on our channels, who agree with us that the cabinet must go. And there are 30 million poor South Africans who are so tired of having this government standing on the back of their neck, who agree with us that it's time that this cabinet must go. So thank you for standing with us. It's not an easy thing to bring a motion of this nature. It's the first time it's ever been done in South Africa. But it is necessary. And we've succeeded in making sure that there's no place to hide today in Parliament. Because we have fought to make sure that every vote is recorded against the Member of Parliament's name. And at the end of this vote, the people of South Africa can see for themselves who has put their party ahead of the people of the country. And I hope that this South Africa and the citizens at home are going to look very, very carefully at that list. And the next time one of those ministers gets up and says that they care about South Africa, say, how can you care about South Africa? You voted to keep picket in place even though gender-based violence is rising. How can you keep all these rotten ministers who steal? How can you keep people who are named in the Zondo Commission? How can you keep people who are named in the Mufamadi Commission? How can you keep people who are named in the high-level panel report into the July unrest last year? How do they stay in the cabinet? But you know, I want to end on this point.
All right, dear leader John Steenhuisen there in the Western Cape in the build-up to the two motions of no confidence in President Cyril Ramaphosa as well as his cabinet respectively. We'll have much more during our later bulletins.